Hello and welcome. If you're like me, then you have various interests and hobbies that help you rest and relax. A personal hobby of mine is painting model miniatures. When people think of painting model miniatures, they usually think of painting planes and trains, but these models are a little bit different. These models are pewter and range in the size of 30, 40, and 50 millimeters, although there are some that are as large as 120 millimeters. In this video, I will be walking you through the process of building, priming, and base coating a model with paint. In the end, I will also show you what some of the completed models look like so you can get an idea of where it will end up. We will begin with this 30 millimeter model. These models tend to be fantasy in nature, so if you're interested in things like Lord of the Rings and sword and sorcery type settings, then these models will definitely interest you. This model is a Mortarthurge will breaker. First, we will have to build the model. It's good to lay out the pieces in a way so you can see what you're working with. I'm starting by looking to see if there are any mold lines in the model first. So, this piece looks clean. I'm looking for blemishes or pieces of metal that might be sticking out awkwardly. Let's see, this could, nope, that's part of the model, so that's good. I noticed this line right here, but that's actually part of the model. Here's another piece. The model stand. Some other pieces. This looks like an arm and a head. Once they're clean, I'll be taking super glue to begin building. I'm using a brand called P3, but really any super glue will work. A popular brand you can find at your local hardware store is called Loctite. The trick is not to use too much super glue. So I'm going to start by putting it to the stand. Super glue here and then on the other side. A little fussy, but it got in. That's going to dry. Although it's a pretty snug fit to begin with, so that's good. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and try and put on the head here. After I put on the head, we will finish building the model off camera. And I got to hold it in place for a couple seconds. And cut. Okay, our model is built. However, we can't begin painting it just yet. First, we have to prime the model so the paint has a surface to adhere to. There are multiple ways to prime a model, but I'm going to show you a great way for a beginner and a very dependable method. In this video, I'll be using a brand called Duplicolor Sandable Primer. And there's various brands of primer, and you don't need to use the most expensive. Duplicolor is only $5, and you can get it at Pep Boys. Once you have your primer, make sure you shake it for a good 2 minutes so that the paint is ready to spray. You also want to make sure your weather is nice. A nice cool day like today is perfect for priming. Depending on the model, you may want to move it in various positions, so this could take a couple of rounds of priming. It's also important to keep your hand moving when you're spraying, or else the paint may pool. Repeat this process until the model is nice and coated. All right, I'm gonna move it a little bit. Perfect. Here we are with our model primed and ready to paint. For these models, we use acrylic paints. You'll want to pour some paint and thin it with water. I like a good 2-to-1 ratio, but this will change depending on what your objective is. And for your brush, you want a decent brand, and you can experiment with different brands. I like Winsor & Newton Series 7. These are high quality sable brushes. I'm pouring my paint. Okay. As you can see, I'm dipping my brush into the paint, but I'm wiping the side of my palette so I can get rid of the excess paint. I then do brush strokes on them. These models are representing a solitary moment in time, so as you become more comfortable, you will want to begin thinking about how you can highlight and then shade certain areas of the model. And that would be the next step I would take after this. This concludes our video. Please note that each of these parts can get very detailed. So this video is just a layout of the process of how to build and paint these miniatures. My later videos will go into various techniques on how to do different styles of priming and different painting techniques. At times you may want to dry brush a model or maybe wash it with ink. As you practice, your models will look more amazing. Here are some models that I've completed. Thank you for joining us today. In my next video, I will go into detail on priming and different methods of techniques that you can use for it. There are different styles of priming, and I'm going to try and teach you a couple of different ways. See you next time.